It's already that time of year again. It's time to get the seeds planted and get this garage set up for growing plants. In this video, I'm going to show you how I plant my onion seeds, which I know isn't something that most people need to know how to do, but we'll also be setting up a mini greenhouse here in the garage, and I bring in a shelving unit and I put it up against a garage door. I put lights inside the shelving unit and I cover it up so it keeps the plants warm. Our garage is rather cold, so I have to try to keep the plants as warm as I can. And I'll also show you how I organize my seeds. I'll fill you in on a few tips and tricks that I've learned along the way and some of the things that I do. And when we get all done, I'll take you down to the garden. I will show you what all I plan to do this summer down in the garden. I'm super excited about what is to come. I absolutely love gardening. It's one of my favorite things to do. So I'm going to get set up here and we'll work here on the counter and get some onions planted first thing. I'm planning to plant the yellow Spanish onions. The soil I'm going to use is the soil I picked up at Menards, and it's the organic seed starting mix. I'll start out by filling my tray with this. I'll get this top all smooth so that we have a smooth space to plant our onions in. The seed packet says to plant them at 1/4 of an inch deep. What a lot of people do is they plant each individual onion in a separate cell. What I'll do is just scatter the seeds in here, and then at some point then I will transplant them over. Unless they're far enough apart, I can just leave them there and transplant directly from this plant. So time will tell. I should have gotten these planted back in January, but time got away from me, so I wasn't able to get them done. The earlier you can plant them, the bigger your bulbs will be. But I think I'll still get a pretty decent bulb size. I'll just take a little soil and put on the top of these to get that 1/4 inch depth that we need. I'll tap this down just a little bit. Okay, I'll grab my water sprayer and get the soil damp. I love this spray bottle here. It has a nice mist to it. I had one that was smaller that has a red top, and I still have that one. But the nice thing about this one is it holds a lot more water, and when you're doing a lot of trays, you want to have as big a one as you can. That's still easy to carry. This one is pretty lightweight. So all you have to do is pump it up, and then you can spray. See what a nice mist that has? It's nice because it doesn't cause sinkholes in the soil. It doesn't disrupt the seeds, and it saturates the soil nicely. So I'll get this saturated quite well. I want the soil very wet, and then I'll cover it with a plastic dome or saran wrap. It depends on what I can find. I had some plastic domes last year, but I'm not sure if I can find them. If not, I'll just use saran wrap. This soil is very dry, so it's going to take quite a bit of water. So I'm going to write on one of these garden markers. These garden markers are really nice to be able to help you remember what you put in your trays. These garden markers are really nice too, because in the summertime, whenever you have them out in the garden, the ones that are specifically for a garden, it takes a long time for them to fade. And I've had so many times where I've used permanent marker and they fade out and I have no idea what was even planted. So I think it's great to have these garden markers to write on the tags. It looks like I need to get a new marker. This one is starting to dry up. I think I'll put the date on here also. Get this into the tray. I have several things over here in the garage that need to go. I'm planning to put my shelving unit up somewhere right in here. The reason for that is I want to be able to open my cupboard doors. I need to move all of this stuff out of the way. Right now I have my potatoes all stacked here, and some of them, many of them, are sprouting. So I need to get them taken care of. I need to get them all peeled and get them freeze dried or something to be able to get them used up. So I'll get all of this stuff out of the way and get my shelves set up and kind of show you how I do that. I got everything basically cleaned up as good as I'm going to get it. And I have my shelving unit here ready to assemble. These ones are a little shorter than the ones I used last year. I have another one upstairs similar to this. I think I'm going to grab some more legs and then another shelf just so that I have one high enough to accommodate all of the plants that I plan to put in here. I grabbed some legs and a shelf from another unit, so let's see if they fit. It fits. I'm so glad it fits because in order to use this top shelf, I need to hang lights from here, and I really don't want to hang them from the ceiling. I've done that in the past and it works, but it's nice to be able to cover this and not have lights being in the way. I have my lights here that I use. Each one has its own toggle switch on it and a cord, and you can hook these in together. I bought these on Amazon a few years ago. They were quite inexpensive, but they work great. So what I'll do is hang each of these from this little chain. I did put yarn on these to help hang them. I'm sure there's probably more efficient ways because I take this down every year and put it away for the year. I try to keep it as simple as I can. So I put 2 of these on every shelf. So you'll want to start by testing your lights. I started at the top and I realized that I had my lights going the wrong direction. On each end there's a cord with a toggle switch, and then each end has a plug-in. So if you plug in your first light first, and then you can start plugging each one into that way you'll know before you hang them up, you'll know that they're going to work in the order that you have them. So start by plugging in one light, connect all of them, and then hang them up. I got all of the lights now plugged into each other. Now that I know that they're all connected properly, I can get them all hung up. It's kind of hard to see, but you can kind of see here where one plugs into one light and then it goes to the next. So then you can just go from light to light, making sure that each of them lights up. So I have the chains hanging on the yarn and I loop them in so that I can adjust them, and they're hung from the shelf above them. So I'm using the pliers to open up these ends. So that it opens up that hook, and that way I can loop it under and then connect it to itself. As I want the light to go up more, I can just loop it through further and then hook it into itself. There, I have them all connected. And as you can see, the lights do stick out on the ends, which is fine because it doesn't hurt anything. The thing with this setup is if you are not using, we'll say that I am connecting the bottom lights and not the top ones, you can just turn off the lights that you're not using by flipping the switch. And you can always plug in into specific ones also if you only want a couple of them going. This past year I found this really cool zipper bag at the Amazon bin store. So I was able to get it for $1, which I thought was pretty cool. Before that I used a tablecloth and I'd wrap it around this to help keep the plants warm inside, and it worked just fine. But the cool thing with this is it has the zipper and I don't have to keep messing with trying to unhook a part of it or anything like that, and it just looks better than having 2 different tablecloths on there. But you could also use a sheet or whatever you have to cover these up. So I'm hoping that this works on this shelving unit because I used it on a different one last year, but it was about the same size. So I'll give it a try here. And then lift it up. Here. Take a look at that. It's nothing fancy, but it works, and I am so happy to have it. So I have my heat mats on the shelves. You can find these heat mats on Amazon. You only need the heat mats when you first put your seedlings out. As soon as the plants fully emerge from the soil, you'll turn the mats off. Typically, I'm not planting everything all at the same time, so I usually have plenty of mats to get them started, and then I move the flats down that are finished, and then I put some new plants on. Because I was able to find a lid for this tray, so I'll get that put in on one of the heat mats. I know it probably looks like these lights are really close. When you're first starting the seeds, you want to have them pretty close so they have plenty of light. And I may adjust these lights so that these ones will be a little bit closer. It'll just depend on the growing pattern. I keep an eye on it and I just kind of move them around in there. So I'm going to get this zipped up to keep them warm. So this is what I use to put my seeds into. It has a nice carrying case to it. Then it has a snapping closure. These are photo organizers, but they work great to organize your seeds. So as you can see, I have each one labeled. I like that they're clear because you can look inside and see what's there just through the top, or you can open them up if there's a lot of seeds in there. And it holds quite a few seeds. So these are all the peppers. I have several seeds that I just bought that I need to get in here. I have some lettuce here. I should get some planted because it would be growing great in the garage right now. I have all my flowers on this side, and then I have all my vegetables on this side. As you can tell, I do love flowers. So this has worked out really well to be able to organize my seeds and have them all in one spot. And it's somewhat protected by being in the plastic containers. And I did purchase this on Amazon. It looks like a snow globe here today. Isn't that beautiful? I know we can easily get tired of our Michigan winters, but I can say it is surely beautiful. I'll show you what the garden looks like this time of year with everything being snowy. It is a beautiful sunny day here. It is still pretty cold though. This is the garden shed and also storage. So I'll take you down and show you what the garden looks like this time of year. I had to go in over the gate because there's so much snow on the other side of the gate. So this is the garden space. This side here is where we have all of our fruit trees. Under the snow here is where the strawberries are, and our raspberries are right there. We have blackberries down at the end. You can see the deer have been in here. Right there's our grape arbor. Here's one of our compost piles. You can't even tell it is a compost pile because it's so covered with snow. And here's the rest of the garden. We do have a short fence around the garden, but it's not high enough for deer. So in the spring we're going to have to put electric around it. We haven't had a problem with them jumping over until this past year. So usually if you have a double barrier, they won't jump through it because they're afraid of what could be in between or afraid that they couldn't jump out. So that's what we'll do. We typically have sunflowers all the way around the perimeter of the garden. Here we have raised beds, and we have tomatoes to the left where the trellis is, and the tomatoes will climb up that trellis and we secure them to the cattle panel that's on there. And the 3 beds right there, they're for peppers. And we intermix flowers in with all of it just to make it pretty. And our hoops are rather flattened, but we put brassicas in there to keep the moss off of them. But as you can see, they are flattened, so we'll have to fix that in the spring. My husband, Rich, made me this very nice trellis. It's kind of hard to see with the sun the way it is, but this summer I'll show it to you. And here we have 3 berry containers, and I have mostly mint in them. Here we have an archway that I have roses planted around. My husband took old fencing and he tore it apart and he cut every one of them pickets out. He put the fence together and spray painted everything white for me. And I just love it. It adds a nice little cozy element to the garden. So we have a lot of plans this summer for the garden, and it's my hope that we can have a very bountiful harvest from the garden. I'm sure that many of you don't have a greenhouse, but as you can see, you can take a space in your home, put up some shelves that wouldn't have to be in your garage. You could put it in your upstairs or in some spare room. As long as you have access to electricity, you can hook up your lights, your heat mats, and you can start a lot of your own plants. I plan to get some perennials started soon, and then I'll start working on my annual. So I just kind of plant along as I have time. It won't be long and this whole thing will be full of plants. And I love it whenever they first come up. It's so exciting to watch them emerge from the soil. There's just something that just brings so much joy whenever you know that you're the one that started the plants. It feels so good to have this all set up and ready to start adding other trays to over time. I hope that you have seen that there are many ways that you can grow your plants indoors. I hope this inspires you to set up something in your home that would help you so that you can also get some plants started. Gardening is one of my favorite things to do. In the summer, it's very rare that I'm inside. I am typically outdoors, enjoying the beautiful Michigan summers. Over the course of the summer, I hope to be able to share with you some of the joys of gardening. Over the next few weeks, I hope to add a lot more trays to this, starting with perennials first and then moving on to the annuals. It certainly saves a lot of money to be able to start a lot of my own plants. If you enjoy content like this, please click subscribe and come back for more videos. Have a wonderful day. Bye for now.